I've always wanted to be a writer by Objective Tale 6047. I've always wanted to be a writer like J.K. Rowling or Stephen King or Lovecraft. My mind was always brewing with plots and stories that to me seemed like they belonged on paper. So I finally decided to make my dreams come true and began making my own stories. I started with a combination of creative writing classes, journaling, poetry, and various writing techniques. I had started taking to the internet to start spreading my name out. In fact, I'm a frequent poster on this subreddit. I began with short stories before I could even attempt at novels. I had such high hopes for everything I post on here. At best, my stories will be ignored. At worst, I just got the worst criticism I ever read from anyone. I've been told my writing is terrible, that I have massive plot holes. The worst part were my endings. They will not forgive me for how awful my endings are. I moved away from the internet and submitted to magazines that take stories. I wouldn't see my submissions anywhere, and I started building a collection of rejection letters. Maybe I could use them to inspire me to do better. My worst critic was in my own head. Every time I look in the mirror, my reflection just told me to give up. I tried pushing forward instead. Self-doubt is normal, right? I received my last rejection letter, and my response was to sit at my laptop and type whatever I feel. I wrote brief messages like, "You're no talent hack," and "give up." I reviewed everything I typed to myself and could hear myself shouting at me. Rather than just delete the page, I had thrown my laptop out of the balcony window. I made a promise I will never type again. But first, I needed to make sure my fingers wouldn't type a single word again. So there I stood, in the kitchen, and braced myself. My fingers were on the cutting board, perfectly lined up. The meat cleaver was in my other hand. I closed my eyes the whole time, but I could still feel the pain of sharp metal breaking and separating my flesh and my bone. By some miracle, I was able to chop off the fingers in my other hand. There I sat in the kitchen, blood squirting out of my bloody stumps where my fingers used to be. In my foggy mindset, while losing so much blood, I thought of something. I thought what an interesting story this could be. Shame I can write it down. What a story. Another great story by Objective Tale 6047. If you folks like the story, go ahead and leave a like and a comment on the bottom. If you want to hear more stories, go ahead and subscribe. And like always, I'll see y'all on the wasteland.